And let's look at the leadership principle, customer obsession. Usually, new joiners will interpret it something like this. At Amazon, we have the responsibility to listen with great intensity to our customers and deeply understand, not just understand, but empathize, feel their pain, feel what the opportunity is to help them. And then, with great fidelity, come up with a solution which absolutely solves that problem that the customer has so that the customer goes away delighted. That's level one that's what most people think of as customer obsession, and that is for sure part of customer obsession. I think of that as customer responsiveness. But there's another layer that you'll begin to get to after you've been at Amazon for a little while. And I'll tell you a story about my first day at Amazon. My first day at Amazon, I sat next to somebody from inside sales, and their job is to call up customers and try to make sales in a normal company. So I'm sitting next to her, and first day you still got to get your laptop set up and all this, so I couldn't really do anything. So I'm just listening to her talk, and so she would call up a customer, and she would say, "Hello, I've been looking at your logs, and I noticed that you haven't been turning off your servers over the weekend, and you're paying for them, but you haven't used them on the weekend for the last 13 months. So would you like it if I hooked your technical person up with one of our solution architects to show you how to turn off the servers on the weekend so you're not paying too much money?" And then the customer probably said, "Oh yeah, let me do that." And so, she'd finish that up, hang up the phone, call the next customer. "I've been looking at your logs and I see you're paying too much." And so all day long, this salesperson, their job was to just lose money. I thought, what company have I joined? This is crazy. But that kind of brings us to the second layer of customer obsession. The second layer of customer obsession says that you listen to a customer's pain points, you really empathize with what they're going through, and then you add value. You say, "I hear that this is what you want, but there might be a better solution. Can I propose what that solution would be?" And then you go back to the customer and say that they were wrong. And essentially, you re-propose the solution. Now, the customers say, no, I want what I first asked for. And in that case, we fall back to customer responsiveness and we give them what they asked for. But many times the customer says, "Wow, that really is a different way to look at it and a better way to look at it. Let's change the SOW, the terms of the agreement, and let's change what we do." Many times that happens. And this is customer challenging. And this gets to Amazonians about a year and a half in. They realize that actually they're not there just to delight the customer. They're there to improve the customer beyond delight. It's to show them, look around the corners that they may not have been looking around. And it feels a bit weird because I come from other companies where you're never supposed to argue with the customer. You're supposed to just give the customer what they ask for. And at Amazon, you're actually encouraged to say no to a customer, which is very weird at first. The next layer, which I'm now at, I think if I'm at Amazon another 8 years, there's probably going to be 5 more layers that I can share with you. But right now, for me, I'm at this kind of next layer, which is customer think big. And I think my experience of it is that Amazonians, when we go to a customer, we lose sense of identity and we actually become part of that customer's firm. So, and you'll see that with how we're treated, how we deal with our customer employees. It's as if we have resigned from Amazon and we've joined this other company. With that said, we do bring our leadership principles with us, and then our role becomes at the customer site to not just question little things about the request, but actually to question everything and to say, well, you've come to me looking for a ERP solution, but actually what you're really looking for is digital transformation. If you just focus on ERP, you're not really going to get the true business results that you want. And so how as a customer, at that point I feel I'm in the customer. How do we change this entire situation so that we're really looking at the much bigger problem? And so to me, that feels like that's sort of where I am. I'm beginning to understand customer obsession in this kind of third layer well. Now, every leadership principle has layers just like this.